Good morning, good afternoon, early morning here, late morning, I guess, here on the West Coast. If you're watching us on
Late
this.
morning for us, early afternoon for East
Right.
Coasters. Yeah.
Yes. We made it to another. Jacob Bartley, we made it to another Saturday. And
Yes, we
we
did.
made it to another Saturday to talk about Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, the new series on Prime Video. I am Keith Barnes. This is the aforementioned Jacob Bartley. Jacob, how you doing this Saturday?
Doing pretty well, man. As you can see, my shirt says my weekend is booked. Got a lot of, stuff going on, doing homework, and I'm going to watch football all day tomorrow. So I'm excited, but I'm also excited to talk Rings of Power.
Yes. Oh man, yeah. What a weekend! So college football started last week, but it's fully in. We're in week 2 of college football. Obviously, NFL starts tomorrow. Got a bunch of shows on right now. It's still very hot outside, although it's supposed to be cooler.
Yes.
I think the worst of our heat wave is over. Seems like it, but it's still.
I was able to open my windows this morning, which was so nice to do.
Of course, well, as is usual, it was nice, but the usual staple of this time of year, there's smoke in the air here in Sacramento.
Of course, yeah.
Because a big wildfire somewhere. So we hope all those people there are okay dealing with the mosquito fire. But speaking of fire, there's a lot of fire here on this show that we're talking about. Of course, like I said,
CGI fire.
CGI fire.
You could totally tell.
Yeah. So we're talking about episode 3 of Rings of Power. I did not catch the name. I probably was an important thing to get. I didn't get the name of this episode.
I'll bring it up.
Okay. But yeah. So far, now, what do you think? What do you think of this episode? Overall,
man, they're like really hiding the episode title. Like it just says episode 3.
Just episode 3. Okay, right. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think there was it.
Do they even have titles? Like I don't remember the titles of the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, I don't know if there was. That's why I was thinking. Like, was there a title?
I don't think there is. So yeah. So 3. We aren't doing anything wrong, right? So we didn't miss it.
All right.
Theral, how you doing? This episode. Oh yeah, we got some people in the chat. Hey, Theral. Yeah, you asked me what I think of the episode in general, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It was pretty solid. I'm having mixed emotions with this series so far, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
First and foremost, I'm glad we're getting a Lord of the Rings show. Like, I'm just grateful for that. And it's a well-made show. Like, yes. Production-wise, set design,
visuals,
most of the graphics, like, even though CGI fire, like, takes me out of it sometimes. Like, it's not like, I don't know why CGI fire does. Like, a CGI monster doesn't. Even like a CGI background or a CGI boat doesn't. But CGI fire.
Yeah. Fire. I know, like, when I was in school, like, fire's, it's obviously, duh. I mean, fire's difficult to work with, tough to work with, because it is dangerous, and you never know what's going to do.
Of course, yeah, and you're right.
It seems like
why risk it? Use real fire. Like
I was going to say, yeah. So I understand. Well, but it seems like the technology and the ability to do real fire. I mean, you can. I don't know. It's obviously there's a lot of safety that goes involved. So you think that I don't know. I guess if they'd rather just go with CGI fire. I guess.
Yeah, but anyways, regardless of that, no, the episode's pretty good. Like, I think episode 1 was okay. Episode 2 is great. I still stand by that. And that's part of the reason why I don't love this episode so much. My favorite part of episode 2, those characters aren't in this episode. Sure. The elf prince, or the elf and the dwarf character.
Yeah.
They were my favorite parts of like Elrond and Prince Durin. Yeah, that's who they are.
Yeah, no Elrond in this one. Yeah.
And now I realize, and honestly, this is one of my complaints about Game of Thrones, the original series, not the House of Dragon. The original series, Game of Thrones, you would you'd follow a storyline. There'd be a very important storyline going on. And then the next episode, you don't even see those characters at all, because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, wait, you're doing that with this show? Like, I'm not a fan of that because it's both like in a show, I feel like unless it's something you're dismissing for like 6 episodes or something you're dismissing for like until the next season, like I think every player should be involved in every episode. And I missed those characters in this episode. But overall, there were some really cool things. There's like 2 or 3 things that I loved in this episode. So we'll talk about those later. But as you can see, I'm not completely happy with it.
Sure. Okay. So Daryl says, "A Shadow of the Past."
Adrift.
Episode 1, Shadow of the Past. Adrift.
Wow, it was called Adar.
Okay. Well,
wow.
that's interesting.
That makes
it ends with that. We'll get to that. We'll get to Adar. So, I think this episode was kind of similar to episode 1 in that there's more setup.
Thank you, by the way, Thero. I just want to say
thank
you for that. Really, really appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you. There's definitely more setup in this. I think and we'll get to it in my notes, but I think I see where some of this is going. And so I think I agree with you in that. Obviously, missing Elrond and Durin,
Prince Durin, yeah.
But they continue obviously with Galadriel and the guy Halbrand.
That's his name. I was calling him the Low Man because that's what they kept calling him.
Yes. Let's start there. Actually, I was going to start with. Let's start with the beginning. Yep, the episode opens with we saw Arondir get captured by some hands down in the tunnels underneath,
and it turned out to be orcs.
He's seems to be in some kind of labor camp with a bunch of other elves.
Yeah.
The first thing I'm like is, why is this happening? Why are they not fighting these orcs? They can all take these orcs. They got tools and axes and other things that they can fight back with. That we get the answer to that later on. But they're just like digging some kind of trench, it looks like. What do you think about that whole scene so far?
That was interesting. I mean, I did not like if you would have asked me what do you think happened to Arendon at the end of the last episode, I'd be like, that would not have been my guess. And it's weird to me because if I'm not mistaken, the orcs used to be elves, and they were captured by Morgoth, and then they were like transformed into orcs.
Yes.
So it's like
these orcs anyway.
The orcs are but the orcs in Lord of the Rings were like manufactured, right? Like,
they were made with dark magic. Yeah.
Yeah, but the original orcs. So it's weird that like the orcs who used to be elves are basically enslaving elves,
right?
Which is interesting. And I was thinking the same thing. Like, it didn't look like they were like extremely outnumbered necessarily.
That's exactly elves. Initially. Yeah.
So I'm like, why didn't they get out? And then what is there supposed to be? Is that just an orc out there, like waiting in case the elf tries to run out and with bow and arrows?
That's what I assume. There's more out there.
So you're telling me that all those elves, including Arendor, did not think of like, there's probably an orc standing out there with the bow and arrow. Like they're trained. He's a trained soldier, right? Like he's military mind. He's supposed to think of these things and didn't think of that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's jumping to the end. I like this idea because the idea of what's going on, because there is that there's something to be said about like one. I don't want to say an evolution, but like a different elves evolved or were turned into orcs, and now orcs are enslaving them. Like that's an interesting idea.
Right.
So that was pretty cool, and so it's interesting.
Yeah. Daryl, very good. His theory is that they're looking into the blade that the kid found. That the other character we didn't see is the lady. What's her name? Brownwyn. And her son.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So we were like, "What's that thing that the kid found?" It was I don't know if you saw it. It's a sword, a broken sword, apparently. And it's that thing where it was like drawing like his blood out of it, out of his hand and into it, and apparently there's a weapon. I don't remember that it did the same thing in
and it has obviously it has that, Sauron's logo
has that symbol on it. Yeah,
whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, his logo. Yes, so
it is his logo, right?
So that's good theory, Daryl. That's what they're looking for. It seems though, and this ties into what Galadriel is doing when she discovers, which we'll get to in a few minutes here. But it looks like they're digging up what is going to be Mordor.
Yeah, I mean, and we've seen obviously the elves are working on their construct as well,
right?
So it's like we see all this kind of coming together.
Yes, exactly, and so, exactly, and so speaking of that, say Galadriel, she's we last saw her and her friend that she met at sea, the only other survivor there from the ship that first rescued her. They're being rescued again by another ship. She wakes up and they go up to the deck of the ship, and it's just a bunch of men.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only elf lady on a ship full of men. Turns out they're heading towards Numenor. Numenor.
Yep, island kingdom. The island kingdom of Numenor,
which looked incredible. Well, the port
it did
that they looked spectacular. And then I looked at that. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That looked really cool. That was really great visuals there. But yeah, sounds like she may have been referring to this alliance what stood between elves and men when she was explaining what it was, when she realized where they were. And she tells the whole history. Apparently, that island, she says, was gifted to the people there. Also, too, Hal Brand, excuse me, I keep saying Halbrook. He used the word human. I never heard the word human in any of these.
Oh, he did. Yeah. Oh, they call him man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they call humans
human. Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I mean that's because I don't think. I mean, I would not know, but I don't. Is the word human even said in the novels? Is it said I can't remember.
Not that I know.
It's never said in the movies. Right. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but she gives that whole history, which is interesting. So, once they get in there, the captain, is seems like he's a friendly guy. He's like, I'm gonna take you to go speak to some people. They go meet this Queen Regent Muriel, who's played by Cynthia Addai-Robinson, who was the CW Amanda Waller.
Oh, really? That was her?
Yes.
Okay. Good for her, because they did her dirty on the CW because they were making a Suicide Squad movie, so they killed all the Suicide Squad characters in the CW. She got shot in the head.
Right.
Amanda Waller's not getting shot in the head.
Well, she would get shot in the head eventually, but not as easily as she was. I mean,
not like that.
No, somebody definitely would assassinate Amanda Waller at some point. But you'd think she would.
I don't know, man. She's, she's a survivor.
Yeah, she is. But
basically, cool. In the movie, she set that whole mission just to rescue herself.
That's true.
Remember?
That is true. That is true. She makes go rescue whatever package she packaged this.
Yeah, and it's her. Of course.
So that's true. And then killed all the people that she was working with. But she plays the queen of this island. Her father, I didn't get his name, so I should have. But whatever, she's in charge. She's not happy that they the Navy there, because it seems like they're like this. They're like the Navy of I was gonna say Middle Earth, but this whole world, whatever it is, I don't know. But she's not happy that they brought an elf here. I guess there was some kind of beef between the elves and the men way back in the day. And,
a beef between people who fought a war together and decided to here's this beautiful island, you're welcome, thank you. And now they don't like each other. I need some more. I mean, maybe there's something I'm missing, but why do men and elves hate each other so much? I need more information on that.
Well, I did hear again, and you asked
just
last week.
Pure prejudice? That's it?
It seems like it. Seems like
that's it.
Because she mentioned there's this tree represents their everlasting judgment or whatever. So they really, it does seem like they think the elves look down on them, and maybe they do. Because as they're walking to meet her, Halbrand is like, okay, listen, don't antagonize these people, please. And as soon as Galadriel gets in there, she starts talking like, yeah, this is where I'm going. You're going to let me go.
Okay, if it's a situation where, like, elves treat humans like shit, like, you're scum of the earth, we're better than you, and they, like, openly act that way, then that makes sense.
If that's the case, yeah. Because like you said,
yeah.
Galadriel immediately walks in there with an attitude and is like, this is what I'm doing. You're going to let me do it. I'm not asking your permission. I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there's definitely a butting heads right out of the gate. And they're like, look, you're going to stay here. Oh, well, Halbrand said, stop saying Halbrand says, he basically asks if they can stay there while they think about what she wants. What she wants is passage to get to Middle-earth because she's trying to still investigate what's going on.
Yeah, like he says,
that's a great line.
Daryl says, Southland will be there in 3 days, lady. Will it?
Yes.
Will it?
It sort of will. I mean, it'll be there in some form, but
I don't think he knows what's going on.
Exactly.
Galadriel does, though.
And that's where those two storylines kind of tie in, of course. Not tie in, they definitely do. But yeah, then we meet the captain. I guess his name was Ellen.
Well, isn't it the same guy that picks them up, right?
Picks him up, yep. Realize his name's Elendil. Elendil is his name.
And it's Isildur's father.
He's the father of Isildur, which
we have Isildur is so young.
Very young, yeah. Young.
Like, when they announced the show and I knew he was going to be in it, we obviously know what happens with him.
Right.
And so are we not going to see that version of him until, like, how many seasons are they going to do?
I wonder how many seasons this will be.
Like, are they going to do, like, 8 seasons? And by season 8, he's the Isildur, like, in the flashbacks of Lord of the Rings?
Well, I think they did say this season's going to jump ahead. They're going to cover a lot of time. So I wonder if there's going to be a time jump.
Interesting.
We'll get the rings. I'm assuming we'll get the formation of the forging of the rings and how they all get distributed. And I mean, not obviously, but like this is probably going to end with that story, right? Well, Isildur, first of all, becoming establishing Gondor, because he establishes Gondor, and then obviously becomes king. So we got to see all that. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So I'm sure you're going to bring it up, but are they? And I wasn't 100% clear on this. Were they saying that Halbrand is the king, is the rightful heir to King of the Southlands?
Well, I wrote down Halbrand is running away from the sins of his ancestors' past, similar to Aragorn.
Yeah,
seems
exactly.
Like when Galadriel goes off to do her research, Elendil takes her to the Hall of Halor, or whatever they call it, something like that. Which seems like a library. It's got a bunch of scrolls in there with all the history. And she discovers who he is, who Halbrand really is. We see him. Yeah. He seems like he's just some kind of just some guy, right? He swindles. He just wants to get a job. He wants to stay there, get a job, and whatever. Swindles. He wants to be what do you call it? What do you call those guys? Who's metal?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, my brain's not working, but says he's got to have some kind of.
They said it in the show, yeah.
Yeah,
like,
I know
what you're talking about, yeah.
Blacksmith, I guess. But yeah, he steals this guy's little pin so he can be. He's got to rise up the ranks to get that. And I love that scene where they're like suspicious of him. And he wins all their trust, buys everyone drinks.
Yeah. No, I was thinking that. I was like, well, first of all, cliche, like, guys start trouble in the bar. Like,
yes.
That doesn't really, I mean, it does happen in real life, but it's not like people don't do it for no reason.
Right.
Like, they're not just like, look at this guy sitting alone. Let's go mess with him. Like,
we don't trust him.
No, that's not. I mean, I guess they know he's an outsider. So
yeah.
I guess that makes sense. But then, like, I was thinking, if something like that happened in the bar, that's the perfect way. Hey, drinks on me. Like,
exactly.
That's the perfect way to, like, squash any beef.
Exactly. It's buy everyone drinks. Exactly right.
But of course, he was like, he had other intentions.
And you knew that going in. But it was, I guess, because it's an island nation, they're pretty tight about who comes in, right? So I guess, I mean, I get it, but still, yeah, you're right. Like, I've
The
never
sea
seen
never
that.
lies is what they said. That they were like very serious about that.
Exactly. So, but he steals that guy's thing so he can get a job. Of course, the guy's like, "Hey, low man, what are you doing?" And a bunch of guys come confront him. He seemed to act like he was timid and scared. I immediately was like, "Okay, he's going to beat up all those guys." Of course he does. You got that brutal scene where he breaks that guy's wrist up against the wall.
Okay, so this brings up something that is a positive for me. This episode was bloody.
Yes.
On multiple occasions. And I felt like, and because to me, one of my problems with this show, it felt, and this is just for lack of a better way of explaining it, it has felt like a PG Disney product. Like,
really?
At times, for me, honestly, for me.
Okay.
So this episode broke that for me. Right. Like, and that's good because I don't remember there wasn't. And I'm not saying violence. I'm just saying like it feels like they're being very, very safe with the action and the gore and I'm like, there has to be some like a little bit of brutality in this if you want me to take it seriously. And they definitely did that with that fight, and they definitely did that with
the war
with the when the orcs released that beast thing at the end, and it started like ripping at the stomachs of those guys. I'm like, okay, like it just makes the world feel more dangerous to me, and that's what I need from this show.
Yeah, definitely more than just, and I know what you mean, like more than just like big battle, like danger, like actual, like individual, like on a smaller scope, like somebody come hit you in the head,
not like warriors running at each other and you hear swords clinging and from a distance and you see no blood or anything, like more than that.
Well, Elendil tells them like, hey, stay close, like when they first get there, like this is not a place you want to get lost in without an escort. So you're right, again, you get kind of a sense like, oh, maybe this place is a little more dangerous than it seems. Like it's like arriving in New York City, I guess, without.
Oh yeah, kind of felt like that. Yeah.
So he beats up all those guys, and of course, he gets captured, thrown in jail. So we jump ahead. Okay, here we go. Go back to the scene. What's his name? Oh my gosh, Arondir and the elves. We just see them digging this trench, and again, I'm like, why? As we talked about at the top here, why aren't these elves fighting these dumb orcs? They're referring to someone named Adar. I can't remember how they're but
isn't he mentioned when Galadriel and Dude are in the thing? When I
think so.
It's mentioned earlier in the episode, and they're like,
yes.
And she's like, he goes by many names or something.
And then he said exactly that when the elves were in that trench talking. It's like, it says Sauron was known by many names. Adar could have been one of them. And so because they're like, oh, it seems like Morgoth has a successor or something like that.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And so it seems like it seems like they're referring to Sauron. So. So to jump ahead, Galadriel is like, hey, I need to get. Oh, well, the Queen asked Elendil to. Does she ask him to go kill Galadriel or just go watch her? Because they're like.
Okay, I honestly don't know because they just assumed the audience understood. But from what I took it, she was sending him. She told him to kill her.
Like, they handed him a sword.
There's no other explanation for it. It's not like, here's some handcuffs or here's some, like anything else but a sword.
There also says babysitting. It seems like because they just.
So what? Go watch her, but if she runs away, kill her. Like
maybe because they just go off to then.
Or does that sword? Can elves be penetrated? Like, can they be like wounded by just regular metal?
Sure.
Oh, they can. Okay.
Oh yeah. At least at least in all the other.
Well, I mean, dude was hit with a couple arrows, right?
Right. Yeah. So. Well, but then when he goes to see her, like they're kind of arguing. She's like, "Listen, I'm gonna go, and whether you stop me or not." He seems to be warning her, like, if you go, they're gonna get you. So it seemed like it was dangerous
for her to leave. I honestly don't know about that. I have a feeling she could take out like 30 people by herself. Like that's how they've portrayed her.
And it seems like that's what she's saying.
And she thinks she can too.
Right. Well, but then they just when he mentions who he is, where he kind of sort of who he is, and his father was the king was like a ally to the elves, and that he speaks Elvish, which she kind of endears himself to her a little bit more. But then when he mentions the Halls of Lore or whatever the place is called, which she was surprised, oh, that's here. They just leave. Like the next scene they have is that they're on horses and they're riding off there. So it seemed like it was pretty easy for them to just go. There wasn't any problems. So I don't know. Maybe he was just assigned to, as Daryl said, to babysit her. If she tries.
And so I'll give you an example of like these weird, unnecessary things in this show that make it feel like me not take it as serious. So when they are like talking, right, and then he's like, oh, let's go ride, and she's like, did you say ride? And they're like, she's like riding in slow motion on the horse. I'm like, what is the point of this?
That was
like to show us how much she enjoys riding a horse.
Maybe, like,
what does that, you wasted 40 seconds of screen time.
Like, I mean, maybe she hasn't been on a horse in a long time.
It just felt like,
I don't know,
unnecessary. I don't know. Like that slow motion riding scene. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just make the show feel goofy to me.
Maybe it's, I don't know, one of the few times you say she does, you see her.
Oh, because she's always mad and angry, and like
she's
maybe that's the only time she feels like free is riding a horse. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll give it that for now.
Yeah. But
because she is always just like
mad
and angry and like don't talk to me unless it's about business, all that. Right. So, all right.
Well, remember, she's essentially on a revenge mission. So
yeah, a 10,000 year revenge mission.
Hey, listen, revenge is best.
I get it.
So, but yeah, so he takes her to go to the Hall of Lore.
Wait, is that what that means? Revenge is a dish best served cold. That like it can wait, like
yes,
it can be like years later. Oh, that's exactly what that saying means.
Yeah.
See, Rings of Power, you're teaching me things.
Old Klingon proverb. So, but yes, let's see. Oh yeah, so yeah, I wrote my next note here is: are we seeing the construction of Mordor or Isengard? From what I read, based on the maps, it's Mordor that they're building.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense. And do they design Mordor to like block the sun out, or does he like corrupt the sky and the sun's already blocked out?
Great question, because I thought I recall. Well, obviously, so I did learn.
Well, it's always dark in Mordor, right?
It is always dark, but there's orcs out all over Middle Earth, and they're out all the time.
I'm pretty sure we've seen orcs out in the sun, right?
In daylight. That's what I was about to say.
So maybe these original orcs, like you talked about,
they didn't.
Maybe those other orcs that Saruman created, they have different rules. I don't know.
That leads well. Apparently, Peter Jackson had nothing to do with the series, and it's not.
No, of course, and like we talked about,
this is more based on
different studios. So this is like a continuation of the books.
The books,
not the, or no, this is an adaptation of the lore from the books,
the text, rather than.
It's not.
So maybe the lore is different
connected to the series or to the movies, because like they don't even have the rights to those movies. So anything that like Peter Jackson made up, like they can't use.
Right.
Technically, unless they get approval.
So their lore here. So maybe the orcs can't be in the sun. I guess like they're like vampires. Like they can't. It burns their skin. I guess. Whatever this version of the sun is, middle sun. I don't know. I really wonder where in this, like, I want to see space stuff. I want to see what is this planet or this world they're on? Where is it in the universe? I wish
so you think?
I want a galactic version of Lord
space
of the Rings. See, I want to see that. I need to see.
I
need to see where.
If there's skies, there's stars, right?
Right.
So there's space. I believe there's alien life out there in real life. So in their world, there has to be alien life. Especially magic exists in their world. All these magical things exist. Elves exist. Yeah. I just don't know if I ever see a spaceship in Lord of the Rings. Like, how do they travel in space?
It could be like I was watching Thor last night.
Oh, true.
The new one. Could be like that kind of thing, kind of technology.
Like,
where it's ancient
at some space like, I'm sure, at some point Asgard never had ships or spaceships, but they could still travel, but through the Bifrost. It could be a Bifrost type thing.
Yeah, some kind of dimension, space time hopping thing. Who knows? But
they would never do that. Like,
I know they would.
Tolkien purists would get pissed.
They'll do that in Fast and Furious before they do it in any of these.
Yeah.
But like you mentioned, are we seeing the construction of Mordor or combined with the plans for a great tower? Kind of see where all this is going to. It's a matter of will we see that this season or next? And speaking of characters who we hadn't seen yet, we finally we jump ahead to the Harfoots and the Stranger. We hadn't seen them in a while. They jump in a little bit later in the episode. We got a funny scene with Eleanor and her friend Poppy. They're trying to.
Yeah, for a second, I thought they weren't going to be in the episode.
I thought so exactly. I said this exact same thing.
I was like, dang.
And they're still trying to figure out this thing, the stars. They think he's telling them, the Stranger is telling them where he's either trying to get to. I think he's explaining where he's from, personally. That's just I think. I don't know,
he's from space.
I mean, hey, he arrived in a comet. So
yeah, I know. That's
but they're all
I don't know, man. After this, I don't think he's obviously Adar's probably Sauron, so I definitely don't think that this character is Sauron. I don't think it's Gandalf either.
I was having those doubts in this episode too.
I understand why they would bring Gandalf in. It's a huge draw, but like at the same time, nobody knows that it's Gandalf yet if it is. So like, what's the point? Because you wouldn't be drawing viewers anyway because nobody knows it's Gandalf. So
it's got to be
for those type of fans who would be like, oh my goodness, Gandalf's in this, I have to watch it. Like they're not getting those people. So yeah, Daryl's right. It's Superman. Basically.
Yeah,
it's basically what it is. He obviously has powers. Like, he has to be a wizard, right? So it could be like one of those blue wizards or something.
It could be nothing. Yeah,
I'm cool with a new character. Like we have Gandalf. He's great. We love him, but like add more. So in 15 years from now, we have this other character that we can be like, oh, I love that wizard. Like, who would win, Gandalf or this guy? Like, introduce a new character.
Right? Yeah, I agree. And I was definitely having thoughts too. Like, what if this isn't Gandalf? It might not be. I think if I was going to put money on it, I would say it probably is. Just because of what you mentioned, like it's a character that people know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. True. That's
but I'd be perfectly fine if it's not. If it's another one.
Or who
could be Saruman?
If it's not Gandalf, I don't think it's Sauron. If it's not Gandalf, who could it be?
Saruman.
Who we know? Oh, Saruman.
Yeah, I doubt that too. But
maybe didn't he used to be good?
I think so. Well,
obviously we see him turn in Lord of the Rings, but he was already turned by that time.
Yeah,
like we just didn't. Like he didn't portray. That would be kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
If you made Saruman like the hero wizard of this story, and like he's totally good throughout this whole series, and he doesn't even turn until way later.
And then we see him
I'd be
and
down
Sauron.
With that.
He somehow links up with Sauron, and whatever deal they have, he becomes an agent of him for somehow or some reason. Then we get the arrival of Gandalf at some point.
Saruman also arrives in the Third Age, I guess. But who cares? They can.
Well, yeah. But they said they're going to combine a lot of that. Yeah. So they said they're going to move like a lot of that stuff.
You know what? If it's a character we know, I want it to be Saruman. I just realized that because I like him a lot in Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, same. Yeah, and obviously great Christopher.
He's a terrible person. Like he's a terrible like being, but like he's a great character.
Well, speaking of that, so we oh, and well, real quick, finish that scene. They finally the Harfoots are moving for some reason. I guess they're migrating somewhere else. I didn't catch the reason for that. I don't know. Maybe they just don't stay in one place too long.
Aren't they always migrating?
Yeah.
I think they always are, and
for safety.
Well,
because
are they like? Do you think we're gonna see like the beginnings of the Shire in this?
I wonder. Although, well, the Shire's in Middle Earth, right? I don't know. Or they might be in Middle Earth. I don't know. Maybe they are in Middle Earth. But yeah. So yeah, possibly. You know, but it seems like they're constantly worried about danger. So it would make sense that they're always on the move. I guess every several years or whatever. So I guess so.
What did their song say? Like, no one left behind. No one
one's always stay on the path or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but of course,
funny.
In a very funny scene, Eleanor's trying to get some information from the guy's book. The leader, their group there, trying to get some information from his book. Of course, he comes in, almost catches her, and I think it was a very funny scene where the friend comes in and try to help, but she's under the table trying to reach up and get the pages that she tore out in the book. Doing the classic distracting, hey, so what are you doing? Kind of distracting scene, which is pretty funny. But yeah, he's looking at this map, catches it on fire. Some of the CGI fire you're referring to.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they don't have fire where he's from. He doesn't know fire. You just go or just throw it on the ground, stamp it out. It's like knocks over.
I'm surprised they revealed him to the Harfoots like
that's just
right away. Okay.
Yeah. So soon, yeah. The discovery, and then I wrote here: the discovery of the stranger went as expected. They're all horrified.
So they said what is the family's name? The something Foot.
Eleanor. Hold on.
Anyways,
but yes,
they were. They had to go to the back of the line. Brandyfoot.
Yeah.
They had to go to the back of the line. But wait, was it like, hold on, wait for an hour. We're gonna get a head start, and then you guys have to follow us. Is that what happened?
It seemed like that, although.
And wasn't their whole thing like not to leave anybody alone?
Well, apparently the law, according to their rules, their law is like you're out of the caravan, de-caravans, what they said. But he was like, well, she's young, she made a mistake. They can come, but they got to go to the back. I guess because they're so worried about all the danger in the world, it's not good to be in the back of the line because something could get you. Or somebody's follow if there's a wolf following you.
The stranger shows up, like he's following them or whatever. He's with them still.
Yeah.
Or was he like helping them or something? What was he doing?
Yeah, I remember her father broke his ankle or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess
he could
carry their thing, and turns out he's
so he was helping, and obviously he's like way stronger than them because he's just like human size.
Exactly.
He's a giant to them.
And he used the word friend. So
yeah, so
maybe he's a nice guy.
I mean, this is kind of cool because like if you like imagine in your head where things are going, like he's basically befriended Poppy, or what's her name? Not Poppy, but
Eleanor.
Poppy's the friend. Nori, yeah, Nori.
Nori, yeah. Nori.
And so like, and Nori's our Frodo basically. And
right.
So like, all these storylines are going to cross paths, right? And then she's going to have a magical wizard on her side, like,
right,
which is kind of cool. And he's going to end up being the one who can step up to Sauron, I'm guessing.
Yeah. And if he is Gandalf, he's endeared himself to the descendants of the hobbits,
which would make sense
to their ancestors. So that exactly. So,
but if it's Saruman, that would be funny because do you know how the books end with Saruman?
Oh no.
So basically, after the events of Lord of the Rings, like in the movies, right? Like,
yeah,
in the books, it keeps going. Like, that's not where it ends. Mm-hmm. The hobbits go back to the Shire, and it's taken over by Saruman and his little sidekick guy.
Oh.
And then
Wormtongue?
Yes, by Wormtongue and Saruman. And then it's like a whole like it's like a long story. Like it's like a whole like story arc on its own of them trying to win the Shire back.
Wow.
And then at the end, if I'm not mistaken, I believe like Wormtongue slits Saruman's throat, and like it, and then it ends. Like, and so basically, Saruman ends up being like sworn enemy of the hobbits. Which, if this is Saruman, that would be interesting.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, now I agree. Now I also wanted to be Saruman.
Yeah.
Because that would be quite tragic if that
comes full circle, right?
Wow.
You might even see that now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Flash forward. Because that's one of the things they left out in the movies, and I'm glad they left it out because that would feel weird if they added that storyline on at the end.
Well, not only that, in those movies they show when the trees are taking down Isengard, that he gets killed there. He gets thrown out of the tower.
Oh yeah. So that's not what happens in the book.
I think it was part of the extended scene, the extended version of Return of the King. I think maybe Two Towers. It's one of those, but yeah, wasn't in the theatrical version. But yeah, so there you go. So that story kind of ends. We're still no further from learning who he is, other than he's using words now. He says her name, Nori, and he uses the word friend. He seems to understand that concept. So, yeah, he's off helping them. We'll see where they're going. Let's see. Halbrand, like I said, is running away from the sin of his ancestors' past. It seems like he says his family is the one, his ancestors are the ones that broke this alliance with the elves and started.
So he blames himself.
Beef. Yeah,
like, but it had nothing to do with him. Like he didn't make those decisions.
Yeah.
He's I deserve to be punished for it.
Right, and he just But she, of course, Galadriel was trying to convince him. Listen, our paths didn't cross by coincidence, man. I think we're supposed to be linked up here. You got to come with me. So they're going off to try to figure out what's going on in the Southlands. Or he is trying to get to the Southlands. We don't necessarily know why, but obviously she wants to go there because of her mission, what she believes is going on.
Yeah, like she thinks Sauron's going to show up at some point.
Right. And so that leads us to the end here, where of course the elves attempt to revolt against the orcs. Does not go very well. Seems like it's going well, and then it does not. Like you said, they release that. They start breaking their chains. It's a big old fight. A couple of them get killed. They release the warg, as they said, some kind of warg. I thought that was going to be like one of those big, giant,
like troll things.
Troll things, yeah.
Yeah, me too. And I'm glad it wasn't, because like they struggled with this thing, so they wouldn't have been able to fight that thing, especially like if they didn't have armor and weapons and all that stuff. Like, I mean, I guess Galadriel can take it out, no problem, like that. But I don't know about these other elves. But I don't know, man. Like, honestly, the fact that they weren't like, okay, like if we do go up, let's take like a shield with us in case there's anybody with bow and arrows in the perimeter. Like,
take cover in case there's
oh no, get up and just start walking. And then, and look, I do like the shot where he gets up, looks, and the guy's walking all slow and he turns around. Like, it was tragic, but I don't know. It made the characters look stupid to me. Even Arendon, whatever his name is.
Yeah. They just weren't Arendir. Like,
I mean, he's a great fighter.
Not thinking ahead.
He's a great fighter, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely is. But like I said, their little insurrection does not end well.
I still feel like they could take out all the orcs. Like
I know if there was, it seems like there was
just take them all out down there and then go worry about getting out. Like, put on their armor, run out with the shield, something,
I thought the same thing. It's like, it seems like there's
maybe they will do that. Maybe that's what will happen.
I don't know, because as it says here, he gets captured again. Arendir gets captured
that's again. Right. Yeah, bring him to Adar.
Another mystery person is that Sauron himself. Is the last note I wrote here. So.
Look, at the end of every episode, there's going to be a mystery person.
Mystery person that's out of focus.
I think it's happened every episode. I mean, the stranger shows up, the guy in the boat shows up, and now Adar.
Now this one.
Who's next?
And if that is him, he seems to be in some human form or whatever form I say human, but whatever he is.
It has to be him, right? Like
it seems right.
If it's not, then what's the point?
What was that exactly? And it said take him to Adar. So
and it's only 8 episodes, so you got to introduce him here at some point.
Right. Well, they show his hand. He's got those little sharp, pointy ring things he wears on his hand. So whatever that's pointy.
I hope he's brutal. Like I hope he just. I mean, he's not. They're not going to kill Arondir, but just I don't know. Oh, that little water bottle thing was so messed up. So what happened? The thing slipped out and slit his neck.
I guess it seemed like he was like, hey, I like that. You show toughness. Here's some water. And they're thinking maybe it's poisoned or something's wrong with it. Go ahead, drink it. It's okay. He drinks it, hands it to Arondir. He drinks it, hands it to the other guy. And I guess he just slits his throat and kills him. Just to show, no, we're not going to tolerate we told you to cut that tree down. Cut down that tree, which, of course, to them, that's sacred. Like they
at first I was like, oh, the orcs are redeemable, they're giving them water. No.
I knew something bad was going to happen.
I do still love, one of my favorite things about this is that the orcs are practical.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah.
But that was a tough scene to see. That was tragic for them to see them cut down this tree. Obviously, they respect all life, and like you said, that tree has been here for however long. He said it's been there several years. It's earned its right to exist.
So I think Theral, are you saying that you sent Streamlab? If that's true, give me a second. I got to contact Jake and have him get that to us. So if you did send one, thank you so much.
Thank you,
we'll try to answer it on today's show. As long as I can get it from Jake. Oh, I got it. Okay.
Oh, okay, cool.
So Theral, thank you so much, Theral. They say, my question, do you think we see the Spider of Shelob and mountain trolls in the show later too?
Yes. I apologize, Theral. I did see you send a comment earlier, so I apologize for not getting into that. That's interesting. I think so, yes. I think so. If that's that is one of the last obstacles, at least, before you get to Mount Doom, is going through that tunnel, that cave dwelling where
I wonder, I could see that. I mean, do they reference how long the spider lives, or maybe we get a descendant of Shelob, or something.
That's good. Yeah, right. Or where it even comes from.
Maybe there's a bunch of them.
That would be.
I could see that.
If there's a bunch of those. Oh my god.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, hold on, everybody. We got to fight these spiders first before everything else happens.
If that's the case, I mean, they got to rule wherever they're from. If there's a whole swarm of those in any one place, it's like, remember in Rebels, Star Wars Rebels, there was that desert that had all those big spiders in it.
Oh, yeah.
And they had to use those sound things to keep them away.
Well, it would be a thing where it's like, okay, everybody squash your beef, let's team up and fight these spiders.
Call these spiders.
That's kind of what the whole point in Game of Thrones is, there's some humans in there that are like, guys, winter's coming, we got to fight these freaking zombies, these ice zombies, and we need to put our differences aside.
We can beef later, yeah.
But it never happened. They never put their differences aside.
Right. So maybe that's the case. So Theral at the end. I wonder if we'll see that the spider Shelob. I wonder. It's a good question.
Maybe not this season, but at some point, if they're doing I think they said how many seasons they're doing, if I'm not mistaken. But if they do 5 seasons, I think they'll touch on. I think we'll see them. If not that specific spider, then some spiders.
Yeah. Like you said, another one before. Maybe Shelob is the last one. I don't know.
So do you? I mean, I obviously think we're going to see the Forging of the Rings in this series. I don't know about this season.
Yeah.
But this series, do you think we're gonna get to a point where like we see the Forging of the Rings and then like we get like multiple seasons where all these different factions have their rings?
I think this season, like I said, I read that they said they're going to cover a long gap of time in this season.
That it's going to, like, the series will end with Isildur, refusing to drop the ring.
Destroy the ring.
And destroy the ring, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, if that's the case, then we'd see everything. Basically.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say, yeah, because they said they're going to cover a long gap of time just within in this series.
I'm curious, like, the one ring to rule them all, obviously, like, you could be invisible, like, you can do what do the other rings do? Like,
well, Galadriel used the one that the dwarves got. She used that to protect, to shield her forest from Sauron.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So
like from seeing, so that he couldn't get there. So
they all. I mean, I should know this, but do they all have different powers?
I've seen, yeah, like the 10 rings in the comics. The 10 rings all have different.
That would be really cool to see, like, a huge battle and like they're all using their rings in different ways.
Yeah.
That's what they should be striving for. It's called Lord of the Rings.
The rings, yeah. So we got to see them all doing exactly. And well, I wonder, yeah, because I don't know.
I mean, it's called Rings of Power. The show is.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, well, I'm wondering what.
Oh, yeah. They have to get there because it's literally the title of the show.
What happened to the rest of them? I wonder. Because there's a lot of them. There's like 19 or 20 of them.
It's explained, right? Like in the.
I can't remember.
Opening of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but by the time of the One Ring is the one that Bilbo finds the one. I mean, where are the other ones? And like I said, I know Galadriel was using the other one, but I wonder where all the others are. Unless those wraiths, what do they call them? The Nazgul, whatever. Maybe they have them. I don't know.
Maybe.
I think Isildur eventually becomes one of those, right? So he become one of them. Anyway, so yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think. I wonder. Yeah, that's my biggest question, actually. Probably, really, so far, is at what point we have a few episodes to go, but at what point will we see the forging of these rings? And why are they even created in the first place? I wonder just if that one elf, that Elrond is like, hey, I'm going to build this tower, a tower that can forge anything. Like, is he worried about? Is he talking about forging weapons or just to forge these rings? Like,
I think, yeah. I mean, does he have the rings in mind? I don't know,
right.
But
that's one. Yeah.
And we got to remember too how we're talking about. Like, I've decided to myself that these are not connected to the movies. Like, I don't know if they're officially said or not, but whatever. So
I don't think they are.
So they're adapting the lore. Okay.
Yes.
So, and they're not adapting necessarily Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and Return of the King. Maybe there's stuff in there that mentions stuff that's going on here, obviously, but it's mythology from those books and all the stuff from the ancillary Lord of the Rings pieces, like the Silmarillion and all that. So basically, like, what I'm saying is they don't have to go. It's not a pure adaptation. Like, it doesn't have to be a pure adaptation. So whatever happens with the rings, the way they're created in the books, all that stuff, they can go their own way, and that's okay.
They can do whatever.
As long as they stay true to like the key elements. So we can speculate outside of or the history.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And so it's similar to what we're seeing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean,
exactly. Yeah,
they can they can take stuff in their own direction and make alterations to different storylines here and there, which is obviously that's all they've done for throughout this entire run. So I think
I would say like this is similar to like the Fantastic Beasts movies, to where the Harry Potter movies stuck very close to the Harry Potter books.
To the books.
Lord of the Rings books, movies stuck pretty close. They changed a few things, left out a lot to the books. But this is the Fantastic Beasts. There's no direct adaptation for those. It's just based on lore. So this
lore
is
that she, stuff that's in.
Except there's not one person making every single decision.
I was just gonna say it's stuff that
that's
everything. All the lore is in Pottermore. It goes as far back as thousands and thousands of years. So you can.
And I'm pretty sure she has like final say over like every word in the script.
She absolutely does. Yeah, they don't do anything without her approval. So, well, that's why I said I was watching the Jeremy Jahns video to talk about it. Apparently, they completely like froze out Peter Jackson from all of this. They're like, yeah, thanks, no thanks, we got it.
Like, was he trying to give some advice or something? And they were like,
it seems like it, and they were just kind of like, yeah, no, we got it, don't worry about it. Sort of. I know that.
I mean,
there was a similar thing with George Lucas.
The Lord of the Rings movies, the world feels authentic. It feels lived in.
Yeah.
I don't get that feeling from this show.
Okay.
It feels like sets, honestly. But
really? Okay.
I'm not going to let that ruin it for me.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we got another.
Oh, okay.
We got another Streamlab from Thero. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
I got it right here. So, okay, 3 rings of elves, 2 went to Elf King, and last one went to Celebrimbor, who is Galadriel's future husband there. Later, 3 rings are given to Gandalf, Elrond, and Galadriel, ring of water, fire, and the air there. Oh, Gandalf gets a ring?
I didn't know that. Okay.
Interesting. I wonder what happened to it.
Yeah, I'm curious what happened to it.
Yeah, thank you, Thero. That's very, very helpful.
Yeah.
Man, if we get to a point where like, and here's the thing, they're doing multiple seasons, right? They can go out of the second age.
Absolutely.
And they can go to the third age, and we can get a young Gandalf and Saruman, and then maybe because they were allies at one point, right? So you can have a situation where like you can have straight up war with Gandalf and Saruman fighting side by side, like younger versions of those characters, and using rings, and you could do some really cool stuff.
Absolutely.
Like, and I hope they're thinking like that, you know?
No. Be like that big battle in Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Something like that. Yeah,
that would be cool. You see,
that's because I didn't want everything can't be Endgame battle, right? Like that's, but like something like that Justice League one, I could totally see that. And there you go, you get your spaceships, right? They'd be.
It seems like exactly. Yeah, cool. I see some cool wizard spaceships coming down, and it seems like there's a lot of those battles in this world, though. So, I mean, it's like there's been a few of these great wars, I guess. At least we've heard of at least 2 so far. Or, well, no, 1. It was the one from the first age. We know there's another one coming, and then of course the big one with the end. But yeah, so got a lot of questions. This episode, I don't want to say this. It's not a filler episode. We did get some sort of some reveals, a little bit of
only
direction.
Episode 1 was a filler.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
An intro. It was like an intro filler.
No, you're right. It was an intro. Yeah. Well, the thing is, they always probably plan to release the first 2 episodes. So, like, I don't think the first episode could have been released without the second one.
I completely.
We would have been like, "What?
Yeah,
this is terrible."
Yeah. But it does end, like I said, with another mystery person and some more questions. We get, like I said, a little bit more direction than we had. But we still got a lot to go ahead of us. So, where the Harfoot's going? Who's the mystery man? Obviously, with the orcs there.
Yeah, Thero says episode 1 was info like dumped there. Yeah, it was, which is fine because obviously you can't just jump into episode 2 and start the series. So it's still necessary. Yeah,
definitely. So Galadriel and Halbrand, are they going to make it out of Numenor, and get to the Southlands to see what obstacles they have ahead of them?
I'm assuming, like, because like we talked about, this all has to lead to like battles, right? It just it has to. If not, then it's going to be a disappointment. So like I'm assuming, the elves and the man are going to put their differences aside and come to the aid and help.
Absolutely. It has to. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we know that because Isildur eventually is like out fighting the war.
And at least based on the movies, which we know this is not necessarily connected, but him and Elrond were leading that
and his
battle.
Sister, we met her briefly.
Yeah,
his sister seems like a pretty cool character too.
Yeah.
And she's my new Hollywood crush. I don't know who she is, but Emma Horvath is her name.
Okay.
And she's barely been in anything. I was looking at her IMDb page. She's only been in a few things.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I liked her. Like, I just liked her presence on screen. I think she's going to be, obviously she's going to be like, she's going to have a role in this show. Like, it seems like.
Well, I did like we didn't talk too much about Isildur himself, that whole scene, but he's in like he's a young sailor in their Navy.
Oh, I did like that. They're like basically training.
Right.
And they're trying to basically get their like sailing license in a way. And I liked, that made the world feel like that was world building right there.
Yeah,
like, it's basically like they're going to college to become sailors.
Right. And I
really like that.
Right. All right. Yeah, that was cool. And apparently, and he wants to wait. He said he wants to defer. I think he's maybe not too sure of this is what he wants to do necessarily. So that's interesting. That's interesting to get some background with Isildur and see what kind of person he is. And so his father's not happy with that. He wants him. No, you're doing this. Because you said you want.
I like his father a lot too. Like,
me too.
Me too. He's one of my favorite characters so far.
Well, I wonder if we're getting a little hints of seeing Isildur. Maybe he's somebody who says he's going to do a thing and then changes his mind later.
He seems a little emotional.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting. See. Yeah,
easily corruptible.
Yeah, exactly. So,
damn man can't handle the temptation.
Listen. Yeah, exactly. You had one job. I just drop it in there. And he's like,
only the pure. Even Frodo struggled.
He did. That's why
literally no other hobbits could carry it. Sam says, "I can't, but I can carry you."
I can carry you, right? And say, well, listen, that said Frodo. My daughter's like, Frodo didn't destroy the ring. Like if what's his name didn't show up and fall in, like the ring.
Oh, that's true. You're right. Frodo was not willing to let the ring go.
Right.
And he bite his finger?
He just bit his finger off and was so happy, and he just fell in.
Wow.
What's his name? Oh my gosh, Gollum.
Yeah.
So interesting. Ring. So
wow.
We have a long way to go.
Hey, no. Frodo sucks. Nobody's worthy. Nobody's pure-hearted. That's basically what they're telling us.
Exactly right. This Gollum, just so happy, just oblivious to where he was. Mind your surroundings.
About to fall into a lava pit.
Fell off that cliff. Yeah, so that was it. So we got a long way to go before we get there. I wonder if we'll see the character eventually, Smeagol. I wonder if that's a character we'll see in the series. Young Hobbit Smeagol.
I don't know. I don't think he would line up.
Because he's probably not. Probably not. Unless if we get into the third age. I mean, it's possible, but probably. The ring gave him unnatural long age.
That's true, but it depends when. Well, I guess like we talked about, they can make their own mythology.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's something I want to see.
It says he was 589 years old when he died. So even at that, it would be way. So yeah, exactly. So yeah, this is way before that.
And that may be one of the characters that they can't use, possibly. So I don't know.
Well, no, I mean he's in the book. Oh, he's in the. So they can.
Right. Yeah. You're right. So, I don't know. We'll see, but yeah, I doubt it. But I don't know. We'll see. Got a long way to go before we get to any of that. So looking forward to next week, next episode. We'll see. I don't know if you watched did you watch the preview of the next episode?
I did. Yeah. Came on right after. Yeah.
I don't know if we're gonna get.
I mean, we're getting Prince Durin and Elrond back.
And Elrond again. So yeah, see where they're going, and I'm liking this so far. I'm into it. I definitely agree with some of your the criticisms that you have. I can see that, but just for me, I enjoy being in this world. I like to see all this stuff coming together. or see at least seeing the directions that some of this is going. I want to see it come together, which it
absolutely will. Yeah, and I think it's cool because not everybody. I mean, honestly, like not even close. Like to the majority of people are willing to go back and read the books or like learn about all the lore, and this is a way to make it accessible to everybody, you know, and learn a little bit more about the mythology of Lord of the Rings. So I'm like I said, overall, I'm positive about the show. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
Like we're still gonna see. Like I'm really like obviously Elrond, Prince Durin. I like the Newman, like Isildur's father, and honestly, the whole family I like there. I mean, Galadriel's cool. Like it's
Halbrand.
There's a lot to like about this. Yeah. Oh, and I like the Harfoots. Honestly, everything with the Harfoots is delightful.
Yeah.
Delightful.
Yeah, it's fun.
So
it is a nice.
There's a lot to like.
Yeah, you get away from all the darkness and get some little bit lighter stuff with them. But yeah, I am curious and interested in seeing how it's all going to come together. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, and so
we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Yep. So make sure you guys tune in. Back with us 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Back here after episode 4.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Theral, for the Streamlabs. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. We look forward to having you back next week. If you're watching us on replay, thank you. Make sure you click like and comment along. Let us know what you think. You can find both of us on Apocalypse Movies. We're going to be on Apocalypse Now. That's our show, live show, Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. Pacific time. We've got a bunch of other shows on our channel that we're part of, so go check us out there. Follow us on social media. Let us know. Like I said, comment along. Let us know what you think. This is Jacob Bartley. I'm Keith Barnes. Come back and join us next week. Thank you for watching.